Perspektiva. Perspektiva. U razgovoru s gostima donosimo različite perspektive o društveno važnim temama, osobnom iskustvu i životu. Utorkom od 12 sati.
In today's show, we are talking with Ms. Diyana Kirilova from France, who is an expert in Romani language and specialist for education for Romani people. Dear Ms. Kirilova, good evening.
Good evening.
First thing I would like to ask you is, what was your life path? For example, what was the path you took to deal with the subjects and fields that you deal with today? When did it and how did it all start?
It starts at 1997 when I was invited in Strasbourg to attend the first conference which was organized by the Council of Europe for the Roma young people through the Europe. I was invited there and I was there the possibility to meet Mr. Marcel Courtiade in 1997. It starts at this time. And after this meeting, I had the possibility to make my inscription to Inalco University, where I started my first university study. And I was one of the first students of Mr. Courtiade in 1999.
Yes. What was Mr. Courtiade in person? I know him only from the books and texts, but was he, what was, for example, his methods of work? What was his specific fields, what he was dealing with?
He was a linguist and he dedicated his life on Romani language. He did a lot of research and he was working in different fields, collect a lot of information related with Romani language and Romani literature, and he did his own research on Romani matters, especially Romani language.
Yes. Today we are gathered here for the, let's say, celebration of International Day of Romani Language. Today is the first day of our program, and we had a literary evening with you, presenting your book and talking about your book, Romani Women and Education, Perspectives and Challenges, which was published very recently in Paris. What is the idea behind the book? What does it deal with? What are the main subjects it deals with?
First of all, I would like to thank for the organizer for this invitation, and I'm really happy to be here for the celebration of the Day on Romani language. And this is the first country where I have the possibility to make the promotion of the book. The aim of the language of this book is that's to speak about education and especially of Romani women.
Yes. We in Kalisara had similar projects in recent years. My colleague Kunac had a project called Educated Romani Women, Empowered Romani Community, where we dealt with the same issues which your book deals with. So you structured your book in let's say two parts, one theoretical and one empirical. What are let's say, other than those two parts, what are the parts of your book? What is it based on?
The book is called The Roma Women and Education, and in this book, the first part of this book is the research and the theory which I was working on during my doctoral study. So I developed some notion as autonomy, individuality, orality, and the writing, and I made a parallel with the Roma women. And after, the second part of the book is with the research, the practical research, and based on the inquiry directly with Roma women from different social status, from different educational backgrounds, and it's based from their history life and how they think about education and how is their vision for education. And I made the parallel with the theoretical theory which I was working on during my doctoral study and the practice research. And I combined the two together.
Yes. Would you please explain a little bit more those key notions that you mentioned: autonomy, individuality, morality, and writing? Why are they important for you? They are maybe a little bit self-explanatory, but you use this in specific context. Why are, for example, autonomy and individuality important for Romani context of Romani community? Why, especially for Romani women?
It's very important because I was working deeply on this nation, and I was made the thinking about how it's related with education. Because to be educated, to have the possibility to read, you have to be autonomous, and individuality when you are alone and you are reading, and this is related with the study.
Yes.
And the writing also. And the Romani culture is based for the orality. There is not the writing culture still. And this nation are very important for the education. So, and the Roma people has very big problems to live alone, to be alone. They can't.
Yes.
They can't live in isolated way, and they can't stay isolated.
Yes.
And this is very difficult for education because it doesn't go together with education.
Yeah.
If you want to be educated or to study, you need to deal with this nation. This is very important.
Yes, you have one wonderful place in your book when you say that when someone wants to be alone and read, they think that they are crazy and
Yes.
weird. Well, I think that everyone who is not from this intellectual milieu or background, whose family is not intellectual, when they want to read and not do some usual things that their members of their family do, they think that he's strange. I have similar experience from my youth. When I wanted to read and not play soccer or something else, they thought, look, he's a weirdo, why he's not with us? On this literary evening, we mentioned Papusha, who was judged both by her community, Romani community, and both by the exterior community majority. She's a good example of the ideas that you talk about in your book. Why do you think, we also talked about something about a bit about that, something on the evening, why do you think that it's important to have appropriate conditions to educate yourself?
This is important to have some basic conditional material possibility in order to make a study, because when you are poor, if you are really very poor, you don't have such kind of possibility, and to study you have really some minimum materials, some social conditions which be helpful for you and helps to study.
Yeah, you need to be able to hear your own thoughts. If someone is constantly disturbing you, you cannot hear yourself. I would like to say something about the concept of autonomy. I like Immanuel Kant's distinction, philosopher Kant, between autonomy and heteronomy. He says that autonomy is how do you call it in English? You give yourself your own laws, let's say, but when you are heteronymous, the others give the rules you need to listen to. So an autonomous person is someone who has his own rules to live by. And he said that maturity, the specificity of maturity is that person who is mature should be autonomous. He should obey his own rules, and he also connects that with the enlightenment, all the project or period of enlightenment. So the enlightenment is the result of the enlightenment should be the autonomy. So you can connect this in a beautiful way with the Romani community and Romani women. One more thing about your research and book, when you talked with the women, they all said they all had pretty similar comments on their decision not to follow the steps of education. What were their comments mostly?
The comments mostly was that if we can turn the time, we will continue our study because we don't like our life today. But they did it. So, and what is important to talk to them, that even they are married, if they have children, they can continue their instruction in a non-official way, with a non-formal education, because the instruction is during all the life.
Education cannot stop. There's no physical limit where you can. What would you say? What is maybe it's too abstract and too general question, but what does education represent means to you? We have in Croatian wonderful word obrazovanje, like you let's say cultivate your cheek, because your cheek is the face you show to others. So you're trying to make your face more. Not literally, but metaphorically speaking, you try to make your face more appropriate or more open to others. What does education, if it's not, probably it is too difficult question, what does it mean to you?
The education for me, it's to have the independent, to be independent, to have to live in the independent way. This is very important, to live as a normal human being, to have the possibility to think by yourself and to take some decision by yourself, and not to be really soumise or to be dependent for everything as a people who can see. When you are not educated, you can't see. When you are educated, you can see more than your eyes.
Yes, the space is more open to you. You can see behind the things.
You can see more, and it's different.
Yes, you can. Let's say you can determine the causes of the unpleasant situations you find yourself in. If, for example, you don't know the causes of the situation. Someone behaves violently or aggressively, you can see that, for example, he comes from you can see that he comes from a difficult background, that he didn't have proper, so you can see why someone behaves the way he or she does. Your book is also about the dynamics or tension between the tradition and, let's say, modernism. In context of Romani community, what are the characteristics of both?
It was different cases, because we have the cases when some traditional family wants to keep tradition, everything. We have the family which are not traditional and which doesn't want anymore to keep the tradition, and we have the family when are tradition and modern in the same time. I can't judge or can't say which model is the best. I think this is up to the person to choose which kind of life can manage. But here I can give the example of the Jewish people. And the Jewish people, I had the possibility to meet and to see and to be in touch with lots of people, and they keep the tradition and they are very educated. So it's possible.
Yes.
I think the tradition is not an obstacle for the education.
Yes, because tradition, it's pretty abstract also word. It has some, let's say, positive or negative connotations. In context of Romani community, we can say that some things are not good, let's say, to keep. For example, early marriages and...
I think that in the Roma community, they make a lot of... most of the time they make a confusion, because they say that if the person go to study, he will not keep anymore the Romani pay. And for me, it's not true, because the people can continue his study and his development, and to open his mind, and to keep the tradition, language, and to still practice. Of course, he has to be flexible and to adapt himself in the society where he is living. This is not only for the Roma, this is for everybody. You have to live in the rules with the society where you are living. Doesn't matter what you are.
Yes. You mentioned the notion Romani pe. It's also very, very general, and it contains a lot, but at the same time, it cannot be specifically defined what it is exactly. Yes, if Romani pe means keeping keeping the level of education low, or keeping some traditional values? Is that really Romanipe? Or if we educate ourselves, are we losing Romanipe? You said something about it. Yes.
The Romanipe, you have this. It's called by the others, I think, but the Romanipe is the way of living. You have this naturally in yourself. And this is by the values, by the language, by the way of living, the way of thinking. But this is you can practice and live this. Doesn't matter where you are.
Yes, it's not
inside or outside. You are a human being. You have your own identity, and you keep your identity, and you can live with different and multiple identities.
Yes. Language is also part of this story about tradition. You dedicated a lot of your work to Romani language and teaching it, translating it, studying it. What were the main focuses of your work on your work on Romani language? What was the goals, let's say, of
it was different goals. My first expertise with Romani language was with translation. I was working with Roma population from Romania, from Bulgaria, Macedonia, Serbia, and after that I was working as an interpreter at the Commission for Asylum Seekers in Paris. And after that, I was working as an interpreter, and I'm still working as an interpreter for International Conference on Romani Language. I developed my expertise and my experience with the years, and it was really my passion, and I liked. And during my work, I was studying the different dialects through my work, and it was really a passion. And after that, I started to teach it. So I want to give this expertise and this experience, and to develop and to work more with the Romani language at different levels, because the language has different levels. So we have different levels of teaching, of speaking, and we have a Romani literature, and we have a Romani civilization, and we have history, and we have really methods of studying, working, speaking, and it's really a very rich language.
Yes. How do you? I'm very interested. How do you see the process of standardization of Romani language? I don't know at which point it is at the moment, but I know that for the standardization of language, some usual let's say books are important. Let's say grammar, dictionary, and so on. What is the position today of?
It's very difficult. There is some theory which were developed by Marcel Courtiat. Actually, he created the Romani alphabet, which is difficult to be used for all of the people, and it's not so practiced because you have to have the special program to the computer in order to use the alphabet, but it exists. And we have another recent works on this topic, which tried to standardize the language, but by speaking, not by writing, in order to unify the language and to try to speak and to talk a Romani language, which would not be specified for one dialect, but which can be understandable for the Roma people from different groups. So this is a hard work that we are doing, and it starts to, the area starts to work on this by creation the method on studying Romani language, and it's going on. It's difficult, but they try to do something, and it's really. It's good, but in my personal experience, I'm trying to work and to teach Romani language through the practice.
What does it mean?
I don't have still my own method on studying Romani language. Perhaps I will do this with the years, but in nowadays I'm working by practicing, by speaking, and through the practice I make the induction with the Romani grammar, but I don't have really a Roma grammar to give to the students. I teach them through the practice. So, and it works. It works. It's by practice. And sometimes I have a person who are from Roma background. So we start with speaking with them and try to make the in one sentence, which is the subject, which is the verb, which is the object. And I'm working through the practice.
You said that you translate both into Romani language and from Romani language, right? When you, for example, translate for some institutions, European Union institutions, which dialect do you choose?
I try to use. Sometimes I use. I try to be understandable for everybody. It's difficult exercise, and sometimes I made a synonyms for one word. I say 2 or 3 words in order to be comprehensive by the others, because I have a Roma people from Finland, from Romania, from Russian, and they're talking differently, really. And I try to unify and to put different synonyms. And sometimes I elaborate before the meeting a term which. For this term, I will use this term and send it to the person who participates to the meeting. Because but in general, when we attended the international conference, we have some terms that we are used, and they have a habit. The person who come as an expert, because they're involved on this usually 20 years or 10 years. They have to know how we are saying for meeting and different recommendation, resolution. How is the term in Romani? And they familiarize themselves.
Yes, and what is the position of Romani language in European in general? Is it recognized as a official language? Maybe I'm not sure about that fact. And in country where you live in France, what is the position of both Romani community and Romani language?
It depends of the Roma community, because in France we have different Roma community. We have Roma community from Kosovo, we have Roma community from Bulgaria, we have Roma community from Romania, we have from different country. But the Romani language, it depends of the community and the degree of their tradition, if they want to keep or not the Romani language. And for the status of the Romani language, it depends from one side of the Roma community, from themselves, and from the other side, from the states, from the government of the country. If the country recognizes the Romani language as a national official minority language by the constitution, there is some possibility to make some initiative in different levels. But if the language are not recognized, we can't do. We can develop by your own activity, as is the case of Scalisara. It's really to be congratulated in this way, because this organization did a lot and tried to do a lot on this topic.
Yes, you mentioned earlier that Sweden has some program of regenerating.
Yes, Sweden is one of the countries which the Romani language is recognized as the national minority language, together with the Sami language. And they recognize the minority language, not only Roma, but they recognize also the Sami minority and Kala minority. So they have a different program for revitalization, regeneration. And in this case, they have a different initiative on Romani language, a different level, with mediators on the school, primary school, in the secondary school, and at the university level.
Yes, I know that in Sweden exists Radio Romano, which is completely in Romani language, or mostly in Romani language. Here in Balkans, as far as I know, in this ex-Yugoslavian region, only in Serbia we have one internet magazine portal called Romani Nevimata, which is also completely published in Romani. Other medias are mostly in the language of the country where it is published. Next thing I would like to ask you is, when you teach Romani language, what is the average profile of the person you teach, and how do you teach them? What is the process of teaching?
I have all the package of teaching Romani language from first year until master's degree, and I had the possibility, the opportunity to receive some of the archive of Marcel Courtiade on his research and his work on Romani language. And I developed all the pedagogical program from first degree until master degree with the content. And I have the pedagogical material for this. And when I study a Romani language, I have level A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2. I had the students who made the translation of novels in Romani language, and they are French. And they did a dictionary on Romani language, but they were patient on this. It was their passion. I had the students who are married with Roma people and who wants to study Romani by this reason. I had a person who are Romani and who don't speak anymore Romani and wants to active the language in them. And I have the person who are really passionate by the culture, by the history, by the language, and they study for their own pleasure. I have different category of students.
Yes. Recently, Google published Google Translate. I think it's a great thing for someone to learn, or maybe just to translate something as a first step into Romani. What are your thoughts? That will Google Translate maybe popularize, or maybe put better accent onto preservation, safeguarding of Romani language? Is it? I think that we can agree that it is an important step.
Yes, it's important to recognize the Romani language, and it gives a visibility for the Romani language, more visibility and more possibility, but this is not the way to study Romani language.
Yes. Did you use it? Maybe no.
I don't need.
Yes. I wanted to ask you: is it useful? Is it precise enough?
I don't need, because yes. I'm working with the paper, with the documents, with the archive, with the materials that I have, and I don't really need to. But I think for it's a small step for the beginners, for the people who wants to know something, but by occasionally, not for a long-term study. No, this is really not an instrument to study the language.
Yes.
As this is for each language. I can't teach by Google English or Croatian or doesn't. I need really to have a teacher, to have a person who make with me exercise, and it's different. I can't study a language by Google.
Yes.
For me, but perhaps there is somebody who can do this. For me, it's different, and it's better to teach language with a method or with a teacher.
Yes, it's better to understand how the language functions, how the language works.
The logic of the language, and we're working on different skills: pronunciation, writing, grammar, speaking,
dialects.
Yes.
Yes.
The dialects, I introduced the different dialects in the master's degree.
Mm-hmm.
The first 3 years we don't teach and study different dialects. Mm-hmm. We study only one, and I teach always the Caldorash. Mm-hmm. And after the 3 years of studying at the master's degree, I introduce the 3 other dialects. But because they're really already ready, mm-hmm. they can speak, they have a very good level, and we can introduce the different dialects, mm-hmm. but not at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Are you satisfied with the interest of the students and the number of the students which?
Yes, I'm really satisfied, and I would like to develop the platform of teaching Romani language by distance, which will be accessible for everybody in the world.
Yes.
Because we have a different country where the Roma people are living, and I want that they will have the possibility, and I would like to share this material, because this material, this archive which I have, I think this is a big responsibility.
Yes. Yes.
I have to share it, and
yes.
I have to
spread it. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. we are close to the end. I would like to ask you: do you maybe read, or if you do, which are your favorite Romani writers and
I read, and I read a lot the Roma poetry, Roma literature, and I was working a lot for the poems of Putin Pachacu, and one of the biggest piece of theater I was translated into Romani. I was student. It was Kosovo, one of more. It was very hard, very difficult, but in Romani and the biography also. I would like to read the biography, the how they were living, the story of the Roma people, and the poetry and the literature. I organize sometimes in Paris the evenings of poetry with the classic musics, and we are reading the poetry in Roman language just to hear the melody of the language. It's very nice, and we have really the audience from Roma and no Roma. It's very nice, and this is organized in the House of the Poetry in Paris.
Nice. We also have here the Romani Pe Literary Club. We read on one of our meetings Papusha's and Slobodan Berberski's poetry, and I'm also a very big fan of Jovan Nikolic. I think he is a great poet by himself, no matter what his background or whatever is, which language. He's just great poet. Yes, and I currently am reading Matteo Maximov.
Yes.
The Price of the Freedom, yes.
We have a library in Paris, a house of Roma books, which is called Matteo Maximum, and I will present the books on 11th of December in this house of which is called Matteo Maximum.
Yes, because I think that literature is a good way to learn and also to hear what they have to say.
Yes.
And change the perspective, change like very good methods for everything, and both on language for everything. Yes.
And you are really you touch the heart of the people, because some of them through the literature, through the poetry, they express different things.
Yes. I also like very much Menihart Lakatos' novel Pictures in Smoke. I don't know how it's Smoke Pictures. I don't know how it's translated into English. Because you can see the historical period before the Second World War, and you can see what a person has to go through when he or she wants to step out of this vicious circle, let's say, where she or he is born, and wants to educate him or herself. He finds himself, as his mother of the protagonist says, in between two worlds. He doesn't belong anymore to the world where he was born, and he doesn't belong yet, or the question is whether he is able to belong ever in the world of the majority people. Yes, I like Romani literature a lot. And the last question would be for today's our conversation. Maybe also a bit ambitious, and if you're not prepared, just say what are your thoughts about the current position of the Romani people in Europe generally? We can agree, I think, without the doubt that today the situation is maybe the best ever in terms of material conditions, social inclusion, but the things are still not very good in most of the countries. What is your perspective on the future and present of Romani community? Politically, socially, culturally?
In my opinion, it's that the Roma people has to live as the other human beings where they are living, and they have to be really not apart from the society where they are living, and they can make their life by keeping their own identity, their language, and make the conciliation with the majority culture and language, the two, combine the two. And this is really the best way, in my opinion.
Yes.
And to feel proud from what we are, but to be totally, I don't like the word integrated, to live in a normal way, and to be as the other a human being as we are, all of us.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what we are.
Yes, I agree totally. Yes. Europe is specific because it is pretty homogeneous. Let's say mostly it is Christian continent, mostly white people, and if you compare with the USA, but in the USA there are still big problems. But Europe, Croatia also especially pretty homogeneous, and if something is maybe a little bit different, things that don't go that smoothly as they should be. It's sad, but
it takes time. It takes time because to open the mind, it takes a lot of time.
Yes.
And to see the other, to see when the other is different, sometimes it makes the person to be afraid.
Yes.
And it's hard to broke this.
Yes.
It's very hard, and I think that's the most hard work is to be open in the mind.
Yes.
And this is really a gift when you have it.
Yes. Okay, dear Miss Kirilova, thank you for your conversation. Thank you for accepting it in these late hours and for your energy. I wish you a good stay here in Zagreb. I wish you all the best in your future work, and I hope that we will stay in contact in our work.
Thank you for your invitation, and I wish you all the best. And really, you are doing a very good job. I wish that you will continue in this way. All the best.
Okay.
Thank you.
Our today's guest was Miss Diyana Kirilova from France. She's an expert in language and Romani, in education and Romani language.
Perspektiva. U razgovoru s gostima donosimo različite perspektive o društveno važnim temama, osobnom iskustvu i životu. Utorkom od 12 sati.
Ova emisija sufinancirana je sredstvima Fonda za poticanje pluralizma i različitosti elektroničkih medija.